Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you, fellow YouTube friends and family. I am now the proud owner of a webcam that I purchased at a local yard sale for $5. Not bad. I guess one man's trash truly is another man's treasure. Anyway, I wanted to take some time and read some more of the book for you. In this scene, Christopher, the protagonist, is basically he is stalked. That's kind of a harsh way of putting it. He's tracked down a girl from elementary school that he had helped pick on because of her weight, and a whole series of events have happened that's forced him to feel that he needs to, I guess, track this girl down and make some peace with the past. Have some, as much as I hate the expression closure because it sounds like pop psych nonsense, but sometimes there's some truth to it. Anyway, that's what's going on in the scene I'm about to read. He's traveled all the way into Manhattan to meet with her and just make peace with the past, I guess. So, here we go. Nicole smiled, and the wind whipped golden ropes of her hair back. She squinted as the breeze plunked us with little beads of dirt and dead leaves. Looking down at her watch, she gulped and said, "Oh, wow. I have to be back soon." I swallowed heavily and cursed myself for blathering away about Martha when I should have apologized and begged for her forgiveness all the way back on 44th Street. I took a deep breath and lunged forward. "Nicole, before you go back, well, can you give me 5 minutes here on this bench? Without walking, I mean?" She took a bite of the apple, shrugged, and said, "Okay." Although with the apple in her mouth, it sounded like, "Okay." "But you need to just let me talk straight through and not interrupt, okay?" Nicole smiled and pointed to her watch, but nodded eagerly. How do I say this? Nicole, I'm not here to visit the New York Public Library. I looked you up online and found out you were working here in the city and came here today to see you. She gave me a confused frown and nodded as if to say, "Go ahead, continue." So I launched into the speech, or some version of it, that I'd practiced last Christmas after she'd left the fireplace room. "I know this may sound like I'm stalking you, but I promise you that I'm not. What I have to say to you has been haunting me for a long time, Nicole. And I hope to God I'm not going to hurt you by saying this, but I need to do this. Nicole, back when we were in school together, I was very nice to you. In fact, I was downright cruel to you. I called you all kinds of names and made fun of your weight, and I was an asshole to you. I can't imagine what that must have made life like for you. You never deserved any of it. Not one bit. You never did anything to hurt anyone, never insulted any of us. You just minded your own business and tried to get through the day. The truth is, I never hated you, Nicole. I only took part in making fun of you so that I could fit in with the rest of the crowd. Look, I know you have to get back to work, and I won't keep you any longer. But before you leave, I want you to know something that I've felt for years." I took another breath and said, "I'm so sorry, Nicole. I feel so terrible about what happened then, and I don't think I can say it enough times to make things better, but I mean it from the bottom of my soul. I'm sorry for how I treated you. I hope you can forgive me." Neither of us said a word for almost a minute. I looked at Nicole, and she finished the apple while fixing her eyes on a sparrow hopping along the pavement. When it sprang into flight, her eyes snapped back to me. They were slightly red, but it could have been the wind because her voice was composed when she spoke. "Nicole Whale," she said, stuffing the apple core into her bag. I hung my head down and nodded. "That's what you guys used to call me. Blue Whale was another one. You coined the phrase, as a matter of fact. The day I came to school in blue jeans and a blue sweatshirt. I actually blamed myself for that one. Coming to school in blue, and then wondering how I couldn't have foreseen you guys coming up with that one." I nodded again, but couldn't yet look at her. Nicole took my chin in her hand and raised my head to meet her eyes. I'm going to say something to you, Chris Raines, and now you can't interrupt me, okay? Yes, okay, I agreed. Nicole cleared her throat, took her hand from my face, and drummed her fingers on her knees, pondering what to say. You people really did a number on me, she said rigidly. You really fucked with my head, you know that? I went home almost every day crying my eyes out. I hated going to school. At least once a week I tried to fake being sick, but my mom never believed me. I hated looking at myself in the mirror. I had trouble taking a shower because I couldn't stand what I saw when I looked down at myself. I didn't even like to go swimming at the beach. There were nights that I'd go to sleep and pray to God that I wouldn't wake up. Mind you, I never tried to kill myself, but I hoped for some disease to take my life and end all my pain. I started smoking in 9th grade because I hoped I'd get a heart attack or lung cancer. High school was a little easier, but not much. By then, people whispered behind my back mostly. Once high school was over, I decided to stop hiding from who I was and take charge of my own life. I went on a diet, I stopped eating fast food, and I started exercising, and I even stopped smoking. I went to a psychiatrist too. You know why? Because even after all those pounds went away, 127 of them to be exact, I was still that fat girl everyone tormented. Even after I looked at the scale and saw pictures of myself before and after, I was still that fat girl. I could still hear the oink sounds and the moo sounds, and I could still see the notes people left in my desk. I had nightmares about it. Sometimes I think that's why I became a lawyer, Chris. I knew that it would require me to work long hours studying and working to pay for the schooling, and so I'd have less time to sleep and less time to let my mind wander. Going to therapy helped me a great deal, though. I can't say I've forgotten everything, and I can't say that I don't still have some anger over what was done to me, but I can live with it much more easily. She held her hands up as if to say, "That's it for me." I took her hand and clasped it firmly. "You've come a long way, Nicole. Again, I'm sorry." Nicole smiled and touched my cheek with her other hand. "I do forgive you, Chris. Just the fact that you went to the trouble of finding me and coming all the way into the city is a testament to how sincere you are. It means a lot to me. Really, it does. Thank you for coming to see me. I'm glad. I hope you're happy. Overall, I mean." She smiled again. "I am. In fact, I'm going to end this day much happier than I started, thanks to you. And for the record, I don't think you're a stalker." I looked down at my watch. I guess I took up more than 5 minutes, didn't I? Nicole waved her hand. "It's fine. It was worth it just to talk to you." We hugged for a moment and then went in opposite direction. Her back to work and me to the library I'd originally had no plans to visit. "Nicole?" I turned and called to her once more. She turned back and smiled. The sun, which was finally beginning to strain itself through the clouds, was at her back and gave her a glow like the princess she deserved to be. "We'll keep in touch," I said, smiling back. "Come by my store any time. I'll give you the employee discount." Nicole laughed and gave me a wink. "Discount?" she said over the sound of buses and jackhammers. "Chris, haven't you heard? I'm a lawyer. I don't need any discounts. I'm rich now." And that is it. Just to clarify, where she says Nicole Whale, I forgot to mention, I should have mentioned previously, her name is actually Nicole Weil, W-E-I-L. And so, of course, kids, being as brutal as they can be, came up with this nickname, Nicole Weil. So that covers that. Anyway, please, folks, keep fingers crossed for me, and I hope I will get this thing published soon. One of these days.